Hello everyone, it's Joe Knobber again with Spark Science, and today we're looking at something a little bit different class. So, data set we're working with for my data science final project is the NICS firearm background checks, which compiles every single firearm background check and permit application that goes through the NICS, which is a service run by the FBI. And this database covers all of the states within the United States and its territories. So this data set was publicly available on GitHub through BuzzFeed News. And my research was twofold. One, it was to test out the differences between NoSQL through MongoDB and SQL through PHP-MyAdmin. And the second one was to look at a couple research questions focusing on how gun sales and permit applications went up or down, or how they fluctuated during elections, and if there were more applications whenever there was the possibility of more freedom for firearms, or when there was less freedom for firearms. So we're going to jump right into it with our SQL tool, PHP-MyAdmin. So you can see here all of our data is already loaded in. It's easy to load in through a CSV file. And this is just an example query that will pull the month and the totals, which at the end, it's this column. It's the totals of all the data for each month and state. It'll pull it from when Trump was president-elect in 2016. And then we have our baseline of 2018 November and 2018 June. And then we have when Biden became president-elect and the height of the pandemic. And then we're also looking at specifically Pennsylvania grouped by each month. So we run this real quick. We'll see that it took 2.1 milliseconds and it returned these 5 totals for each month. Now, if we hop on over to our Linux machine, this is running a MongoDB database server. I already have the data loaded in from JSON files. And this command right here is essentially doing the exact same thing as the SQL command we just saw. So if I run that real quick, we will see the exact same totals and the exact same months. Now to get an execution time, we have to add this explain statement. It gives us a bunch of junk data we don't need. The only important part is right here, the execution time in milliseconds, which is 3 milliseconds. So it was a millisecond slower, but this data set is too small to accurately tell if MongoDB or PHP-MyAdmin is faster execution. In my opinion, I would rather stick to SQL and PHP-MyAdmin because the syntax is much easier to read and create. Now, if we take a look at this database, this entity relation diagram right here, real quick, you can see that instead this time it's broken up into multiple different entities. So we have the base of states with the total, permits with all those different types, and then the background check with a specialization of each of the different types of background checks. And then this one I added in myself because one of the research questions dealing with political parties, so we wanted to add in a entity type to store that political party. And as you can see, each one is the state and then some kind of date as the primary key because that's what they all have in common. So I hope that gives you a brief overview of my entire paper and project. I wish you the best this holiday season and take care.